Okay, it looks like we're finally live. It took forever for my connection to link up today. So, welcome guys. Happy Friday. Oh my gosh. Today's been a busy week. I've been working very diligently on some customer service issues and things like that, preparing for a new book that I'm just wrapping up, and it's all about how to climb the corporate ladder, basically move on up through service. So hey guys, welcome in, welcome in. I see you guys coming in. As you join in, feel free to invite people to join in. Click the share button, send this out to your folks. What's going on, Arthur? I tried to get in on your live earlier and it wouldn't play for me, so I'm gonna try it a little bit later. But thanks guys. Appreciate you joining me on this Friday afternoon. It is, for those of you who maybe are just tuning in for the first time, because I do see some new names on here, and who you may not know me, my name is Marcy Batiste. I am a public speaker, I'm an author, and I am 150% committed to helping other women shine, helping them ignite their star power, learning to discover what that is, and then how to embrace it so that they can then in turn let others shine and be the guiding light for them. So that's what I'm really passionate about, and I'm excited that you guys are joining me this year in particular, because I've made it a commitment to raise the bar for my clients and raise the bar for myself. So I have a target and a goal of helping 1,000 women on their journey to transformation, self-discovery, healing, trauma recovery, the whole 9 yards, the whole woman, truly curing the emotional bankruptcy that so many of us walk around with. And so that's kind of the end on me. What's going on, Pepper Thomas? I see you. And then I also have a company called Bankable Success Advisors, which is a leading recovery solutions provider. So all that kind of goes under that umbrella. And then in addition to that is my work in domestic violence and trauma recovery on the personal side, and then on the business side, domestic and workplace violence. So that's kind of in a nutshell who I am, for those of you who aren't familiar. And what we've been doing for the last couple months is I've been reading various personal development books, rating my library, going back through it. Like I said, really this year is about, do I do branding? Yes, Pepper Thomas, I do branding. I have some really great stuff. We actually just started a new coaching program called Raising the Bar, and this whole first week has really been surrounding the importance of branding and how your personal brand affects your business brand and so forth, and what the message looks like, the image that you want to present. Truly, how do you show up in the world? So the short answer to your question is yes. And if you inbox me, I'd be happy to give you some more information, and we can kind of talk through your specifics. This video, and I love branding. I love it. I truly love branding. Because of what it means for the individual, and how exciting it is when you start seeing all the pieces come together. So if that's something you're interested in, please hit me up. Let's talk about it. But this is part of my reading challenge to sort of motivate myself, hold myself accountable. Absolutely, Pepper, thank you. Hold myself accountable to up-leveling my own personal development. And like I always share with you guys, when I get better, my clients get better. And so I'm truly rating like my personal development library, pulling out some of my favorites that have been game changers for me. And I've got my mentors sending me things. I've got, everyone I believe should have their own personal board of directors that holds them kind of accountable, that helps them as advisors. They always say a dentist needs a dentist, and so an advisor needs advisors as well. So they're all funneling me stuff, sending me ideas, and then I'm sharing with you guys, because one thing that I know to be true is that the best way to retain something is to turn around and teach it, because that helps build, I don't know what's wrong with my eye, comprehension is improved significantly if then you can take the material and reteach it to someone else. So we are on week 3 of our 30 Books in 30 Weeks challenge. And the first week we did the power of full engagement. The second week, what did we do last week? My mind is just, blah. Oh, last week we did the women who love too much. And then this week we're doing this right here, crucial conversations, and really truly talking about what happens when you engage in a crucial conversation and the importance of being able to be a good communicator. You can never be a good leader without being a good communicator. You can't be an influencer without being a good communicator. Pepper asked a question about branding. You cannot be the face and the voice of a brand without being a good communicator. And so I was like, this is a natural progression through kind of the process, and it mirrors a lot of the information that I take both my one-on-one clients through, as well as what we're focusing on in the group coaching program right now for raising the bar. And so this week we've talked about what makes a crucial conversation, the three components, differing opinions, the stakes are high, somebody's got something to lose, and the emotion is high. And so it's an emotionally charged, high stakes debate. And debate goes either from debate to argument, or it goes to dialogue. To keep it healthy, you certainly want to steer it towards dialogue and take it away from argument. And unfortunately, most people's communication styles tend to lean more towards the argument than they do towards dialogue. And so this really talks about and teaches you strategies that you can employ that will help you stay in dialogue, because ultimately you can't avoid these conversations. They're crucial because they matter. They're crucial either because someone's feelings are really, really deeply at risk. They're high stakes. It might be money involved. It might be careers. It might be whole relationships. And if these things if the conversation goes bad, you jeopardize so much. And when I say you jeopardize so much, it's not always financial. Sometimes it's financial. Sometimes you jeopardize your integrity. Sometimes you jeopardize your safety. Sometimes you jeopardize relationships. Sometimes you jeopardize careers. We talked about branding. You can jeopardize your entire brand. And without even knowing sometimes. And that's why the strategies in here, when we talk about, yesterday I was talking about, you have to pay attention in the middle of the conversation to be able to see, are we still in dialogue, or is this moving in the wrong direction? Are we going towards argument? Or if you're not paying attention and all you're focusing on are the words that comes out of someone else's mouth, or you're focusing on the just trying to get your point across, I need to be heard, and you're not focusing really on how the conversation is moving. What's going on, Donna? Hey, sissy. Then that's when the conversation turns crucial. And sometimes you don't even know it. You haven't even caught on. And to be a good communicator and keep the conversation in dialogue, you have to pay attention to the little nuances. And last night, on the video that I did last night on the subject, I was talking about how the conversation can go from a level 1 conversation, which is just chit chat, to a level 3, which is a full-blown argument. It's a complete blow up. And sorry, you guys, I have something in my eye. It feels really dry. So that's the conversation that we had about it last night. And so tonight I really want to talk about, so what happens when it starts to go bad? And we talked about last night, what are the signs, the shutting down, the minimizing, being disrespectful. Because in order for the conversation to stay in dialogue, you have to still be able to be honest, and everyone has to still be able to feel safe. You have to make the conversation a safe space to be honest, be candid, and get your point across. So how do you do that when you're in the middle of it and you feel like, let's say somebody just kind of comes at you, I call it coming at me sideways. So you come at me sideways with something outlandish, super sarcastic and we're in the middle of a conversation, that's not the time for sarcasm. That is a distraction and a disruptive technique to divert the conversation to somewhere where it doesn't need to go. You're taking me out of dialogue if I let you do that. So I have to bring you back into dialogue and regain control of the conversation. And so what they call what the strategy is how they refer to it in the book is that you have to step out of the content of the conversation. And by that they mean, let's say somebody says something to you that's really sarcastic. The natural instinct is to focus on the sarcasm with something like well, what was that supposed to mean? That's an instant diversion. Instant. We came here to talk about XYZ. And now, as soon as you come at me with sarcasm, if I respond with what was that supposed to mean, now we're no longer talking about XYZ, we're talking about whatever it is you said. We're not having the conversation that we need to have any longer. And so, for me, as the person with the conversation skills, learning these new skills, whatever the case may be, understanding that the other individual may not have the training, I can't be distracted by that. And one of the other days I said on Tuesday, I think it was, I was like, I'm going to rebuke the foolery. And you truly have to continue on the path of the conversation and not that diversion. You can't be distracted by little comments like that. You can't be distracted when they do the whole rolling their eyes and you're trying to talk to them. That's a distraction. And what it means is when people behave that way in the middle of a conversation, it means that they don't feel safe in the conversation anymore for whatever reason. They either feel like they're not prepared to have it, they don't want to have it. They're not being integrous with you. They don't feel like they can be honest with you. They don't feel like they can be honest with themselves. Sometimes it requires a lot of self-ownership that they're not ready to assume, and understanding that this tactic is intended to throw you off. So if you let that happen and you all of a sudden go with you just gonna roll your eyes, ignore it. Step out of the content, move back to the intent. You have to be intentional in these conversations. You can't afford to go down that path, because as soon as you go down there with them, you're no longer controlling the conversation, they are, and it's no longer the conversation that you came to have. You're having their conversation about some foolery. Why am I talking to you about why you're rolling your eyes? You've grown. Roll your eyes if you want to. We still going to talk about what I came to talk about. It's, a lot of that stuff just escalates it. And so that's how conversations that maybe start out that they're not crucial, that's when they become crucial, is because they try one of these techniques, and like I was sharing last night, people automatically revert to the path of least resistance, the what's most common, that second nature response. So if they're used to behaving badly in conversations, they're used to disrespecting people in conversations, that's what they revert to. If they're used to over talking people, all of that. And those are all strategies to throw you off track. So if you know that, you have to pay attention in the middle and say, is this conversation still safe? Meaning, are we still in dialogue, or are we heading down the wrong path? Are we going towards argument? No, we need to stay in dialogue until we can move towards resolution. Ultimately that's the goal. So remembering what the goal is, to have XYZ conversation come to XYZ resolution, because one of the things we talked about earlier on in the week is planning these out, so you know going into the conversation what you want to get out of it. If that conversation is about to take a turn that's not going to lead you to the resolution that you're trying to get to, why would you engage in that? That's insanity. You can't get to, I can't, what's my mentor always say? If you're trying to get to LA and you go I-10 East, there's no way you're going to get there. That's what this is like. You're not going to get there. You're going the wrong direction. You have to refocus, reroute, get back on track. So you step out of the conversation temporarily because you're stepping out of that content. You need to step back into the intent. And the way that you can do this to make it still feel safe, what's going on, Herb, is like we talked about on, I think it was Monday, and that is to own your part. And you would say something like, okay, I can see that you're moving towards sarcasm, and I'm not here to engage in that with you. I really do want to talk about this. This is important. What I would like to do, and you can even say, I apologize if I said something that made you feel unsafe. If I said something that made you feel threatened. I apologize if I said something that offended you. That was not my intention. My intention was to come here and discuss XYZ with you. Hey, Trisha, Howard, whichever one that is, Jonathan, what's going on? And that's the way that you bring the conversation back to the subject at hand. And you by you saying, I apologize if something I said made you feel, boom, that's the way you're telling them. And then you reiterate, this is what I'm here to talk about. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What's going on, Sean? And you're able to then show them that you care about how they feel. That elevates the level of safety, starts to restore the level of safety, and it accepts an ownership for your part in it. And I always say you have to be the leader. Like, you have to be the leader. That which means you take full responsibility. If you're going to take full control, with full control needs to come for full responsibility. So you accept the responsibility. I apologize if something I said made you feel. That was not my intention. This is what I came here to discuss. Can we get back to the matter at hand? And then in doing that, you're restoring, like I said, you restore the safety of the conversation and allow them then to feel like they can re-engage with you in a safe way. But what you're not doing is apologizing for your position. So I don't ever want you to think that in order to have one of these conversations successfully, that you have to minimize or apologize for how you feel. You are just as entitled to your feelings as anyone else. You're just as entitled to your opinion as they are. And so at no point in accepting ownership or taking full responsibility are you apologizing for your position. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to focus on the issue at hand and restore value and refocus. You're going to restore the value to the conversation. You're going to refocus on the issue. Ultimately, the goal is stay focused on the subject matter, stay in dialogue until you can move to resolution. As long as you're in dialogue, everyone's still safe, everyone's still feeling respected, everyone's still being heard, and it's constructive. If at any time you feel the conversation going towards disruption or an argument, then it's your job as a leader, this more skilled conversationalist, to bring it back by using that strategy of making them feel safe again in the conversation, and then making sure that, like I said, that you also feel safe. And it's that whole start with heart, right? Everyone wants to feel safe and respected. If you remember that while you're engaging in these conversations, and remember that anything that takes you away from the subject at hand is a distraction, and it's not what you came here to talk to. And as soon as you start talking about that, you can no longer talk about what you came to talk about. And ultimately, that's how you find resolution, is to keep it on the subject matter. So I hope that helps you guys. Again, happy Friday. I've got 50 million things that I still have to do, but more exciting is my daughter's here, so I'm going to hang out with her tonight and get back in the office tomorrow, but I think I'm going to take the night off. So hope you guys are fortunate enough to be able to do that as well. As always, I appreciate you for joining in. In the meantime and in between time, guys, thanks for living life on Mars. We'll talk soon.